Good morning. My name is Sam Fonoimoana, and I am the CEO of Datajoin. And I am so happy to be here at Adobe Experience Makers Live with Disha Seth, a marketing automation expert. And I wanted to bring a little bit of that live feel, even though this is a virtual event. And so I am Hawaiian, and I play the ukulele. I brought it here with me. So I'm going to play a little song about data, about Adobe data and Marketo data, which is what we're going to talk about today, Disha and I. And so I like music and I like data. So this is my song for you guys to start off our session. Adobe data in Marketo makes me happy, makes me feel fine. Oh, that data makes me warm inside. It really does. Makes me feel like I'm gonna love you to the end of time. Aloha, guys. Once again, Sam Fonoimoana with Datajoin. Want to give you a little bit of that island flavor here as we start our session. I'm so happy to be here with Disha this morning. And Disha and I, we've been working for a little while now on using Adobe data inside of Marketo for a lot of different reasons. And I just got to think back on our history of how we met. There was a webinar that we gave probably about a year ago now that talked about this subject, where we met with a bunch of Adobe Analytics experts and some Marketo experts on the webinar, and we talked about connecting our data. And so, that's our background here at Datajoin. Like, we really focus on getting data from system to system, and we've enjoyed working with Disha and her team. And I just wanted to ask you, Disha, like, what was it initially that led you and your team to talk with us at Datajoin?
Thank you, Sam. The song was actually brilliant. So I'm feeling transported to Hawaii, actually, but I'm going to bring back myself to this discussion about the challenges our team was facing. That was similar to what most marketers are facing right now, which is our data existed in silos. So we had some information which was in Adobe Analytics, whereas some was in Marketo. What was missing was a unified single view of the customer. One of my managers attended the Adobe Search Discovery webinar, where we heard you speak about tips on how to integrate Marketo and Adobe Analytics and vice versa. That's when we realized that data-driven marketing, automated marketing is actually a possibility.
And I like what you said, that it's actually a possibility, right? Because I think today, amongst marketing teams, what we see happening is that, although they're on the same team, the marketing automation folks and the web analytics folks, is that they actually work in silos. It's not just that their systems are in silos, but they work in silos, and they don't know what's possible, right? And so that's something that we see, that the modern marketing stack is disconnected, and in that sense, it's broken, right? And so, we spoke with you and your team, and I think marketers, they can't really put a finger on it, but they are frustrated with like how much time and effort it takes, to be able to integrate their technology. They're waiting for engineering and IT teams to be able to build out these internal solutions, but for whatever reason, I don't know why, but if you're on the marketing team, you tend to get put at the end of the request queue, and this leads to frustrating limitations, right? And us at Datajoin, we like to pride ourselves on calling ourselves a marketer's best friend, right? We're not marketers, but we're a marketer's best friend. That's what I tell people when they ask me what I do. And so for us to be able to see, marketing teams struggle with this data, we're here to help them at every turn to be able to get this data that they need in the systems that they use. So, so back to what I was saying about marketing just being at the mercy of IT and engineering resources. It's tough sometimes because marketing just doesn't have the technical expertise or the skill set to be able to do this on their own, and they have to rely on these teams. So, one thing I'll say is this lack of integration, for me, it equals untapped data. There's just like a treasure trove of data of data points that are in different systems that you could bring into your system. You could bring into Marketo for you, Disha. That's going to be able to help you, with a lot of different things. And I know we're going to talk about some of those use cases. So here, this is a diagram that we're looking at that shows Adobe Analytics on the left and Marketo on the right. And Adobe is a world-class web analytics platform. It is the enterprise solution for this and can track everything you could ever think of. If I come to the site and I do a download, Adobe's got it. If I go to your site and watch a video, Adobe tracked that too. If I abandon a cart, Adobe also knows that too as well. And then if you look on the right, you'll see Marketo, which is also a world-class marketing automation tool where you can send emails out. This is something that Adobe can't do. But if you'll notice, there's limited data points that are being collected inside of Marketo in terms of digital behaviors, right? Marketo definitely knows a lot about what the customer is doing with respect to the emails, but on the website, all those digital behaviors, there's some limitations there. And so, if we could get data from the left side over to the right, and even vice versa, data from the right to the left, like imagine, the millions of dollars in lost buyers that are being left on the table, if you could have data points, from both systems, in both systems. So, Disha, back to you and your team. Sounds like you guys discovered that this is a possibility. And what specific challenges, were you facing on your team? And, what was it exactly, some of the things that you were trying to do?
Right. So my team was actually dealing with a lack of integration that was getting in the way of our goals to actually create automated campaigns, build real-time personalization, and deliver contextual experiences. What we wanted to do was leverage the data that we had to actually create the right message and deliver it at the right time. So what we were looking for was the ability to actually build personalized communication that was based on the interaction that our clients were showing online. And like what you said, Sam, earlier, we knew that there were potentially hundreds of digital behaviors that existed in Adobe Analytics, but we didn't have a way to get that into Marketo. So we knew if we could tap into this, we could potentially have a lot of interaction points with our customers and understand their interests better. But like I said, there were limited ways to actually automatically access that data from Adobe Analytics into Marketo and activate that into some action points. We could only imagine what it would be like to lay our hands on some of the intel, like when a person actually successfully logs in, or when someone downloads a particular piece of content, what kind of a video interactions they were having. So the possibilities were actually unimaginable. But what was frustrating was that we couldn't automatically activate these data points into Marketo.
No, that's awesome, Disha. I like what you said is like unimaginable, right? And, back to this point, I don't mean to say it again, but I think it's worth saying again that, we have teams that are working in the tools that they know, and it's hard to see outside of that box. It's hard to see other data points that they can use to expand that imagination. And so I think that's so awesome that now it sounds like the wheels are turning, for you and your team on what you're going to be able to do with this data. Everyone's agenda, like if you go to the top marketing initiative trends for whatever year, 2022, if you go back to last year, 2021, or whatever, just go back the last 10 years, like you will see like personalization is always there. It's like one of the top trends, right? And I think it shows up again and again because, marketers still struggle to do this correctly, right? And I think if you have the data, then, marketers probably think of doing it, but they don't have the data to do it. And so this is awesome how, with this data, you're able to do it. Just to talk a little bit about how our micro integrations work. So it's our micro integrations is what we call them. I think when people think of integrations, they think of, some heavy, it probably gives some people some stress when they hear that word integration because they think it's going to be some sort of long process that's going to take months and, they're going to get stalled out. But, what we're doing is what's called micro integrations. So it's fast, it's lightweight, You don't have to worry about getting IT as much involved. Underneath the hood, what we do is we have a connection to the source system API. We have another connection to the destination API. And then through our micro integration, we do the ID resolution underneath the hood so that you can say, hey, this video download for this visitor in Adobe belongs to this lead inside of Marketo, and we could add that to the activity log, for that lead or prospect inside of Marketo. So let's take a look at what this data from the micro integration looks like inside of Marketo. So here we're hopping into the Marketo interface, and let's just build a new smart list because I want to show you the filters that are off to the side here. So great, here's our new smart list. It's a test smart list. And you can see on the right side where the filters are, you've got all your out of the box categories, such as activities and whatnot. But if you scroll down towards the bottom here, you'll see this other category called custom. And if you open up this custom, there you'll see, look at all these data points. Fact sheet download, video start, video complete, purchase start, purchase completion. So all of these, what you're looking at here, these are all data points that have come directly from Adobe Analytics. These are high intent digital behaviors brought into Marketo, tied to the prospect. And so let's just drag one of these in. Great. So we can see how many people have downloaded a PDF. So here in our demo instance, yep. Awesome. So let's just take a look at the people that are in this smart list now, everyone who downloaded a PDF. Great. We have a whole bunch of records here of people by name, by title, that now, we can market to, right? And so this is what the data actually looks like from Adobe inside of Marketo. Pretty cool, huh? So that's a little bit of technical background, how it works for the techies out there, which I know there's a lot watching. So there you go. And once again, micro integrations, it enables any and all events and attributes inside of Adobe Analytics to be pushed and to live natively inside of Marketo. Just to repeat that one more time. We also, we might talk about it a little bit in this session if we get there, Disha, but there's also sending data from Marketo into Adobe, because I think once Adobe team sees what you're doing in Marketo, they're probably going to want to get in on the party too. They say, well, what can you do for me? What data points can you give to me, right? So let me ask you this question, Disha. Now that you have the micro integration in place, I know that we just barely kicked this off, and there's still a lot more for us to do together. But what are the outcomes? What are the tactics, and what are the things that you're looking forward to with this in place? What are some of the things that you're imagining that you can do?
Mm-hmm. So without micro integration, we can more easily and automatically activate data from Adobe Analytics directly into Marketo. And the insights that we can derive from both these platforms actually help us build the real-time automated campaigns that matches the interest of our audience. What we can do is actually deliver more tailored experience to our clients, our customers. We are using a micro integration to pull basically all the attributes and specific events from Adobe Analytics that will help us personalize and identify the triggers that we can use to engage with our customers better. So we are still, as you said, quite early in our relationship with Datajoin, but as we move along, we have the potential to create new segments that will help us interact better with our clients, and really the opportunities are vast. But what we are already seeing is great improvement already in our access to data across Adobe Analytics and Marketo.
That's awesome. I really like what you said about just being able to, this is something that we talked about earlier, right? Even before this video, but just imagine right now you can see everyone who comes to your site, comes to your content page maybe, but now you can see, let's say there's 100 people that come to your site, to your content page. Now though, if 10 of them, actually click on, actually download a PDF from your content page, you can know those 10 people inside of Marketo. And I like what you told me before, when we were talking about this earlier, about how, hey, I don't want to focus on my entire database. I just want to focus my marketing efforts on those that it actually matters for them, right? You don't want to spam your entire database and dilute your brand. But now with this, you can know, okay, of the 100 that came, I'm not going to email all 100 of them. I'm just going to email these 10 that downloaded the fact sheet, and that's going to be a much more efficient and a much more higher converting campaign that way. Awesome. I mean, I wanted to see if it's okay, Disha. Like, do you mind if I share a couple of other use cases to kind of give you ideas of what you can do with this data?
Sure, happy to hear them.
Awesome. So, one of the use cases that we see is with abandoned carts, right? And so, I think for e-commerce solutions, like this is solved a lot, pretty much solved by Shopify and the other POSs. But there's a statistic out there that 70% of online purchases are abandoned, right? And so I think that's why e-commerce, I think that's why Shopify, they already have it. Like if you start shopping for something and you don't finish the checkout, you'll most likely get an email if you're on an e-commerce site. But for B2Bs, and other websites where they may have online purchase forms that are not backed by a POS like Shopify, but they are backed by Marketo, I think there's a great opportunity here for teams like yourself to be able to save a lot of these abandons. So if you've got people coming to your site and maybe they're filling out a form for, it could be like a mortgage application, it could be like an RFP form, right? It could be some sort of buy now, but it's just not backed by a POS. This is a powerful use case because if you're losing 100 abandons a day, let's say on average, and if like which people have abandoned, because you can match them back to your database with our micro integration, then you can set up a smart list inside of Marketo, and you can launch a save campaign and send an email to all 100 people who abandoned, let's say it's a mortgage application. And if you're able to get even 3 of those back to finish applying for that mortgage, that's with today's average prices, that's like it's like $10 million right there. I'm just kidding. It's probably like it's probably about at least $1 million in mortgage value right there that you save for your company. So that's one use case that I think is really easy to show the ROI from that Marketo that the marketing ops can do. And so that's something I wanted to share with you. Go save some abandoned carts or save some abandoned purchase forms, and see what that does for you in your next QBR, right? I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Disha, or if you have any questions on that particular use case.
So in terms of the use cases, actually, like I said, the opportunities are vast. And now that we finally have the Adobe analytics data inside Marketo, we can use both the platforms to explore a lot of different use cases. And that's something that a future roadmap is actually working towards. But just time will tell what all we can do and how creative we can get.
Awesome. No, I love it. And I think that's awesome. The more creative you get, I think the bigger wins that you're going to see. I have one more use case I'd like to share with you, if that's okay, and it's about lead scoring. So, with the lead scoring, one thing that we've seen at a lot of B2B companies, at a lot of enterprise companies, is that the relation between sales and marketing is kind of like a brother and sister who fight all the time, right? I mean, it seems like sales loves to point the finger at marketing, and then marketing also loves to point the finger, at sales whenever stuff happens. I don't know if that's been your experience, where you're at, Disha, but that's what we've seen. And I think, the handoff for a lot of companies, the handoff from marketing to sales, has to do a lot with lead scoring. Like lead scoring is the mechanism or something similar to it to be able to qualify leads to the point where your marketing is ready to hand those off to sales, and take them out of their nurture tracks. And so, one use case that we see, one thing that marketing teams can do to help get sales to stop pointing the finger at them is to use some of this higher intent data, right? If they can take into account, instead of just a page view, right, and score that like 10 points, but maybe you can say, hey, if they watched 3 videos to completion, that's worth 30 points, right? And now with the micro integration, you have these type of these higher intent events that are available to you that you can score. And then that way, when you send over these leads and you say that they're higher quality, you could say that with more confidence and send these over to sales. And now instead of the pressure being on you to deliver higher quality leads, the pressure's on them. You can say, no, like these are high quality. They watched every video, they downloaded all the PDFs, all within the last 7 days. Pressure's on you. You better close that, buddy, right? And so that's one use case I wanted to share with you. I don't know if you have any thoughts or any questions on that, Disha, but lead scoring, yep.
No, so absolutely. I think lead scoring is one of the use cases where probably we will also use a micro integration to improve and build on our existing model. But like you said, the high intent customers, the more, what should I say, the low hanging fruit, where we see people are actually inclined towards, making an investment in something. That's where we want to focus our energies and want to tell the salespeople that, hey, these are all the people who we definitely see there's a possibility of conversion. So please, here they are.
Yep, I love it. Give it to them. Say, hey, it's on you now, sales. You better close all these. So that's good. I think you get those higher intent behaviors, you're able to do that, right? Well, that's great. I'd like to talk about, there's one other thing. I want to talk about this notion of collaboration. I mentioned it earlier, but we see a lot of marketing teams that they work in different platforms, the marketing automation team and the web analytics team, for example. But when you start integrating data back and forth between the two systems, you can start not only breaking down the silos of data, but you can start to break down the silos of work as well and communication. And so that I think that's something that I really have seen in your team. Like, you guys already have that spirit of like working together, like with your web analytics team, which I think that's good for anyone who's listening. If you're on a marketing ops team and you find yourself working in a silo and maybe it's harder for you to get initiatives pushed through, like this will do you wonders. Like if you can work, hand in hand with these other teams in marketing, such as web analytics. And so, this notion of collaboration, when you integrate the data, you integrate your marketing, you guys are going to become closer as a team. You guys will find better results as you guys work with each other and take advantage of each other's domain expertise in each of the different parts of marketing. So, you can also send Marketo data over to Adobe Analytics. This maybe it's a discussion for another time, but there are a lot of things you can do. Like they can personalize too. I think you had shared before, or this is something we've talked about, but 80% of customers are more likely to buy with a personalized experience. And you'll be able to personalize better in Marketo if you send over like industry and job title for Marketo and lead status or program status into Adobe. Then they can also do some personalization to the visitors who come to the website. And this is what I call win-win. Like you're winning with the web data in Marketo. They're going to win on the website with Marketo data inside of Adobe. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So, yeah, any thoughts or questions so far, Disha? I know I'm giving a lot of ideas. We just started our relationship, as I already mentioned, but I'm just trying to share with you like some of the experiences that we've seen with other companies. But any thoughts or questions, Disha, that you have, up to this point?
We have so many questions for you, Simon. We've been picking your brain for a little bit now, but since the time that we heard you speaking at the webinar, kind of ran the creative juices in our brains and just made us think, what is it that we can leverage and how we can actually make use of all the data that we can have now to improve our customer experience. So yeah, there's a huge possibility where we definitely see ourselves working with you to actually make our goals a reality.
Awesome. And we are equally as excited. We love working with you and your team, Disha. Well, I guess in closing, just in recap, these are some of the things that you can look forward to. Improve conversion rates on Marketo campaigns. You'll definitely see a bump in that once you have this higher intent data. I think you'll see decreased time to close through more frequent, but much higher quality marketing touches. I think you're going to see that, united marketing teams, there's going to be less arguing, less silos and more collaboration and high fives all around. And this is going to free you up for more time for planning, for strategy, for creative, instead of having to coordinate with IT. So we thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Thank you, Disha, for your time as well. If you want to learn more about microintegrations, go to datajoin.com. It's been my pleasure, and aloha to everyone. Thank you.